Hello, everyone. Welcome back at SMAO. I'm Alessia Camera. I'm going to be the host of this panel for you, and we're going to talk about tips and tricks for corporates and startup success. As I said, I'm Alessia. I'm going to be the host of this panel. We're going to discuss about these super interesting topics with some international panelists, and also going to introduce you some startups that are actually going to pitch you the services. So let's kick off with the startups. Starting with Alpha Food. A big round of applause for Alpha Food.
Okay. Alpha Food, hello everybody, I'm Luigi Parisi, CFO of Alpha Food. Alpha Food is an innovative startup coming directly from Sicily. So basically we do insect-based snack, coming directly from insect flour. We just start from, for sure, no problem. So basically, population now raised over than 8 billion people. And so today, farm struggle to achieve the correct amount of protein, global world protein, in a sustainable way. So our way to help solve this problem is using an alternative source of protein coming from cricket. We do it in a special way. We have a technology called Alpha Box that helps us optimize spaces and resources. And so thanks to this technology, we use to trace all the supply chain and then control parameters important for our farm, such as humidity and temperature. We are working in a market which is completely booming. So thinking about insect market, which is growing with a CAGR of almost 25% all over the world. And so people are trying to start getting used to taste cricket flour and products. And we are trying to do it in an Italian way. So basically trying to have the best flour, the best taste. So even if you're curious to taste some product, we are waiting for you at the B41 stand. And so we will be glad to talk about you and let you taste our product.
Thank you very much. Next one on stage is Be My Hero. A big round of applause for Be My Hero.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Giacomo Simoncini, CMO of Be My Hero. Be My Hero is the app that brings the kids' favorite superhero directly to families' houses. But I do a step back. In the last year, we interviewed 1,000 families, and the feedback that they gave to us is they have no idea how to find a superhero for their events. And so we created the service. Be My Heroes, in fact, match the demands of the families to the offer of the cosplayer. So the entertainers can sing thanks to our website, and the family with the app can compare the price of entertainment closer to their event location and can select the favorite kids mask. So our business model is quite simple because the 72% goes to the entertainer and the 28% goes to the company. In the B2B field, thanks to our service, the companies can organize a welfare program for their employees. Future implementation, we are developing a video calling service because all the world needs superheroes. We are create a marketplace to sell gadget and superhero stuff. You can find us in A31 spot, A31 stand, so we can explain our details and all of the shades of our project. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next one on stage, Handy Signs. Is Handy Signs here? A big round of applause for Handy Signs.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Emanuele Chiusaroli, and I'm the founder of Handy Signs, your sign language assistant at your fingertips. Deaf people speak sign language. And here with me is Laura De Negri, that is presenting in International Sign. Deaf people speak sign language. Often they are in troubles when trying to be understood by hearing people at counter services, in emergency situation, or at the workplace. This is the reason why for Handy Signs, the first digital app that translates a sign language in a spoken and written language in real time. This is made for inclusion and accessibility for deaf people. How does it work? When the deaf signs in front of the camera of the tablet, the app translates the signs into spoken written language on the tablet and voice by the speakers. And in turn, when the hearing people speak, the app translates everything on the tablet. Handy Signs is a bridge over communication barrier. Thank you all. Stay tuned, stay handy. This is the claim that usually made at the speech. Stay tuned, stay handy. Thank you.
Thank you. Next one on stage, Icarus. A big round of applause for Icarus.
Hello to everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Salvatore Francese, CEO of Icarus. Icarus would like to be your doctor in your pocket. This is because we understood an enormous problem when it comes to care from people that after surgery, for example, or after a new diagnosis. That's why we developed this doctor, an AI doctor, a virtual doctor that can help people once they got at home, once they are alone, and in this way they can ask to suggestion, they can ask to every kind of suggestion on their particular disease. This is why we developed this doctor, and we validate this kind of doctor through 20 real doctors, because we understood that the only way to validate a technology like an AI is thanks to human support. Icarus, moreover, is it's a B2B platform, because clinics and also firms can buy our product in order to provide them to their patients. Thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you. Next one on stage, Jay Reddy. A big round of applause for Jay Reddy.
So, hello everyone, I'm Vincenzo Curulli, CTO of Geredi Azarel, a software development company that mainly deals with startups. We noticed that in the market there is a big gap for startups, because when they ask from other software house a price for their MVPs, they respond with tens of thousands of euros for a price. And we noticed that the startup market is low budget, is not an high budget market. So we decided to develop a series of projects to help startups to validate their idea through smoke test, MVPs, up to a complete product. So that's our idea. We got a stand right here where we can talk more specific about our methods, our process, and how we validate the idea, then do an MVP, and then through data, we go to a series of updates for the apps to make a complete product. So thanks for everyone.
Thank you. Next one on stage, Point Pressure, Italia. A big round of applause for Point Pressure.
1 out of 4 adults will suffer a stroke in their life. That's the thing. And the point is that they end up with disabilities, like in the upper limbs, they end up like this. So they cannot move properly, they are propense to fall, or they cannot grasp. Right now they have to rely on solutions like pharmaceutical solutions or invasive solutions that are just patches. I'm Mark, we are Point Pressure, and we developed this device that through a mechanical neurostimulation allows the brain to integrate new movement patterns during their whole life. We have succeeded into showing this device that it reduces the falling risks from 1 every 6 months to less than 1 every year. So this is really particularly super important if you are an insurance company and you want to talk with us later on. We are also closing our seed round of 1.5 million. And if you're an investor looking for healthcare solutions, please come to us at A23. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And last but not least, Solar Invent. A big round of applause for Solar Invent.
Hello, everybody. I'm Pietro Finocchiaro, the CEO of Solar Invent. According to the data of the International Energy Agency, the air conditioning has a 20% of the energy demand worldwide, and this share is increasing in every country. And as you know, air conditioning is based on vapor compression chillers. Maybe you don't know, but the electricity consumption of this system is very, very high, and it's one of the big problem worldwide today. So we developed a solution that reduces the use of electricity in air conditioning using just heat and water. Heat to dehumidify the air and water to cool down the air. We are using desiccant materials and water in evaporation for cooling down the air. We developed a lot of configuration of the system. We have a nice prototype on our desk. I invite you to come, and I will be glad to answer to your questions. Thank you, everybody. We are in stand B42.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much, and good luck to all the startups that are going to be joining SMAO. There's also like a startup safari if you want to really understand all the startups that you can get to know at SMAO. But now let's kick off this panel where we're going to talk about corporates and startup success. I think that I have a lot of experience also on this topic, so I will do my best to make sure that we're going to pull the insights, because I've also been working with corporates and startups for the past 10 years all around Europe to make sure that product launches and best practices are shared. So let's invite on stage my panelists, starting from Anders Nilsson, program leader at Berkeley Skydeck Europe. A big round of applause. Do you want to stay here? Then Michele Osella, Senior Program Manager, Fondazione Compagnia San Paolo. Sarah Hamlin, COO at Ignite Sweden. Shinami Yamamoto, Director and Research and Investment Promotion in Japan, Jetro Milan. Martin Olczyk, Managing Director at Techstars Torino. And Claire Dardignac, Head of EMEA at The Bakery. I'm going to start with asking a little bit of an introduction from each of you and the company that you represent, please.
Hello, I'm Anders. I have a long corporate history in Microsoft, and then 8 years ago I left and drifted into the space of innovation with startups and corporations. And currently I'm the executive of the Berkeley Skydeck Europe Acceleration Program that we held between Berkeley and Milan for Europe.
Hi everyone, this is Michele Osella representing Compagnia di San Paolo. Compagnia di San Paolo is a banking foundation, is the major shareholder of Intesa San Paolo Banking Group, and is also an active ecosystem developer that is at the forefront of cultivating a vibrant innovation ecosystem in Torino, where we are headquartered, and in Italy on a larger scale.
Yes, and I'm Sarah. I come from a company called Ignite Sweden, and we are a non-profit organization, and we're working to activate the whole innovation system of Sweden. So we work with 32 incubators and accelerators and all kind of startups in Sweden, connecting them with corporates for commercial collaboration.
Good morning, buongiorno. I'm Shinami Yamamoto, working for Jetro Milano office. Jetro is Japan External Trading Organization. It's a government-related organization that works to promote trade and investment between Japan and the world. We have 55 offices in Japan and 75 abroad offices in 55 countries. So we have great networks all around the world. And one of our original forecasts is promoting export products from Japan to abroad and helping expansion of Japanese companies. But not only for that, we are currently putting more focus on creation of innovation by providing opportunities for open innovation between Japanese and companies and overseas startups. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Martin Olczyk, Managing Director at Techstars in Turin. We are a global investment firm. We invest in roughly 700 companies per year. I do 12 investments in Torino. We invest in early stage companies. Each company receives 120,000 USD. To date, we invested in more than 4,500 companies, 21 unicorns in the portfolio. And we enable innovation by investment, but also bringing together different players. Together with Compagnia di San Paolo, Fondazione CRT, and Intesa San Paolo Innovation Center in Turin, helping startups with getting access to corporations, mentors, investors. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Claire. I am the head of Europe at The Bakery. So despite being French, you won't get any pastries or croissants from me. The Bakery is a corporate innovation firm that works with large corporates around the world to help them build capabilities in innovation, so from strategy to execution. Over the last 12 years, we have worked with over 100 corporates from 22 countries around the world. And our DNA is rooted in open innovation. So this is how we started as a company. So we've been running these open innovation programs for over a decade. So we have seen the best and the worst. And this is what I want to talk to you about today.
Good. Thank you all. So I think that we're gonna kickstart with maybe like a little bit of a generic question, but as with SMAO, we are talking about open innovation every year. I'm curious to understand what's your take on how open innovation is being growing in Europe in the past year, and which are the best practices that you have seen that also been evolving, I would say, compared to the past when we were just, starting talking about open innovation, and maybe like not a lot of companies actually know what to do and actually how to apply the best frameworks. Do you want to start, Anders?
Yes, so actually I entered the open innovation space when I was the Milan Expo 2015, because then I started to understand there was a big potential between corporations and startups. And at that time, it was just the early stage, at least in Europe and Italy, of that. And what I learned in the beginning was that many corporations were not ready for the journey. So the important thing is to have a clear strategy and have a clear way of how you want to integrate innovation in your company. And at the time, we did quite a lot of work on that. And I think that we have now, in the Berkeley Skydeck Europe program, incorporated some of those learnings where we kind of figure out how to prepare also the corporations for this and selecting the right kind of corporations to put together with the startups, because it's a kind of dual job. Also, the startups have to be more clear about what they want to get out of this collaboration, if it's to get sales and revenue or feedback on the product and things like that. So the important thing is to have a mutual understanding and clarity in what you want in order to make sure you have a good match, because otherwise you risk wasting a lot of time for nothing.
Sure. We think that for sure open innovation has gained an increasing relevance over time, and we think that also banking foundations should have an active role. Fondazione Compagnia di San Paolo is an institution with a very long history. Strangely enough, we were established back in 1563. Even if we are an institution with a very long history, we think that reinventing ourselves is a core part of our DNA. And not by chance, a few years ago, we decided to step out of our comfort zone, to dip our toes into the waters, the uncharted waters of ecosystem development. And today we are at the forefront of cultivating an innovation ecosystem in Torino, where we are headquartered, and in Italy on a larger scale. And the midterm vision underlying this effort is clear. We are on a mission, and we are moving fast to place Torino and Italy on the global map of innovation ecosystem. With this in mind, to support the open innovation effort, we crafted the journey from lab to market. That is our overarching ecosystem development framework, which provides entrepreneurial projects with bespoke support depending on their maturity stage. Practically speaking, our journey from lab to market is operationalized through 50 and counting initiatives that we run together with a constellation of more than 100 like-minded partners, including universities, public institutions, corporates, investors, incubators, and accelerators. And Techstars in particular is for us a one-of-a-kind partner in talent attraction, in international exposure, and also in supporting us in thinking big, which is their signature specialty. Overall, I think that our ecosystem development approach is driven by a very ambitious rationale. So to bring research excellence, entrepreneurial know-how, and funding opportunities together into a unique scheme ranging from idea to IPO. By doing this, simply put, we're in a position to support more than 200 startups per year. So having an active role in the open innovation ecosystem.
Yeah, and I think that we've been working with over 350 corporates throughout the whole world since we started, and almost 2,000 startups. And I can see that it's a different level of matureness with the corporates are working with startups. Some of them are used to invest in startup, but not having a customer relationship to startup. So I think the corporate has to be taking consideration that it's not an established company that they are dealing with. It is innovation and it's a startup that don't have everything set yet. So you have to make sure that the corporate has a strategy on how to work with startups. It usually fails in the legal department or the procurement or the IT. So you have to have a strategy on how to involve startup in those areas. You also have a set budget. And we can see that the best collaborations, that is a long-term partnership, actually has a very strong connection to the strategic goal of the corporate. Because if you don't have that, you will not find the resources internally within the corporate. So that is super important. And also be very aware of the difference in time on how you have time and resources. Because if a corporate say to a startup that this is very interesting, let's be in touch, let's talk soon. Soon for the startup is maybe the next day or a few days or hours. But for the corporates, this could be weeks or months or years even. So you have to be super crystal clear in the communication on how you speak to each other and what you mean. Otherwise, you will fail. And of course, to be very aware of that it's a business for both parties. So this shouldn't be, it's not welfare. This is a business, and you should find the business case.
Could you repeat the question again?
Yeah, so the question was like, how do you see open innovation, how it's been evolving, and how are you supporting corporates, collaborating with startups, kind of?
Thank you. The sounds didn't. Okay, so I will talk about, because we are a government organization, we are non-profit, so I would like to introduce about how JETRO can provide services for Italian startups to succeed in Japanese market. For Italian startups, we who are looking for business collaboration or open innovation with Japanese companies, we provide business matching opportunities through our platform, which is called JBridge. This platform aims to generate cross-border collaboration with such as business alliance or capital alliance, including technical cooperation, joint R&D, M&A, investment, joint venture. Our platform is open to innovative technology such as mobility, healthcare, life science, agri-tech, robotics, climate tech, any kind of innovative technology. So we have more than 1,600 Japanese companies as our clients on this platform. So if you are a startup and interested in Japanese market, first, you can contact us, and once your business or company approve, in our platform, we will create your business summary profile on our JBridge platform and provide this information to Japanese JBridge members. Through this platform, you can meet your potential Japanese partners, and we can also organize the first meeting online. And we also organize some events like a pitch or like networking all around the world. So please join our ecosystem to succeed in Japan. Thank you. Thank you.
So I want to come back to the statement from Sarah saying that it's a very challenging world when the startups meet with corporates. Those are two different kind of corporations or like players, and I think I don't need to repeat what Sarah said, the importance of communication and collaboration, long-term views. I think the term open innovation became very en vogue 10 years ago, and everyone thought like, hey, it's cool to collaborate with startups, let's open something, let's put some money in, create a department, and we see what comes out of it. And in many cases it didn't work. It's really tough to find a match with very disruptive, super innovative small teams that are moving extremely fast, and large corporations that might not be moving that fast and expecting something else what the founders mean and want to build. So where we came in is to bridge these two worlds. We partnered with corporates. We run corporate accelerators where we bring founders. So we try, and I think we understand both sides. We try to communicate between the founders who come to our programs, match expectations on both sides, and very often combine businesses that are being built from scratch and companies that exist already for 100, 200 years, not knowing that much about innovative technologies. Very often these founders tend to disrupt these industries. So I think there is a very thin line of how do we innovate internally, how do we innovate the company with technology, and how can we make sure that our business survives and we're not being disrupted by these founders who are working with us. So coming to the question on evolution, I think open innovation has changed a lot. We see different types of open innovation. Many corporates try to do it themselves in-house. They have specialist innovation departments. Other corporates try to partner with Skydeck, with us, to bring innovation from outside. We see a lot at early stage globally. We can create trends. We can understand better like what a company needs to potentially further grow and make sure that digital transformation is happening in the corporate, looking at the next 10, 20, 50, 100 years. But we also understand the early side on the founders. So very fast moving, high expectations, high speed, and the desire to change industries.
Awesome. I really like this question about how open innovation has changed, because when I started in corporate innovation 12 years ago, I remember that the questions that I was getting a lot from big companies were, but why would I even do that? You know, why would I even like work with a startup company? Because the likelihood is that they can't replace the thousands of engineers that my company employs, or the resources that essentially I have as a big corporate. And so we had to do a lot of convincing and talking to them about, no, but they're a little bit more agile. Also, you don't have all the best talent in your own four walls, right? So there is a benefit in you doing these partnerships. And today, I think that the way that corporates understand open innovation is, and the questions that they ask is more about like, how do I use it as an instrument that will serve my business goals, and how do I prioritize the best business problems or the challenges that my company is facing, and use it as a method amongst like all the other tools that I've got, in the corporate innovation toolbox. So I think that question of the level of maturity is really important, and I think that enables also startups to also be more mature in their own relationship with the corporates, right? And on the question of what are the sort of success factors, I think I'm going to be a little bit more tactical, because I love the points that were made earlier about like having a right strategy for open innovation, and I think we don't need to make the point again. But in the best partnerships that I've seen, some of the things that were really important or had led to that success was essentially having inside of the corporate the person in charge of that relationship with the startup acting as a real champion. So understanding really like what processes they need to be using, or who needs to be involved at what point in time, and what budget needs to be released, for that partnership to go forward. So I think that has been like really like key and really number one success factor. The second one has been having the startup founder really act as like an incredible salesperson. So being really aware of what they need to do in order to deepen the relationship with that particular corporate. So treating this as like a sales relationship and a relationship that they need to move forward and pass certain stages. And in terms of that first collaboration and how to scale it up, which I think is like a super important point, because a lot of the corporate startup partnerships start with a pilot and they don't actually move forward from that pilot stage. So I think the question here is, what are you really proving in that initial collaboration? So what are the metrics, the KPIs, that you're measuring, so that you ensure that whatever you validated at the end of that pilot is something that feels strategic to the company, and there's like really clear metrics to show that.
Cool. Thank you very much. I think that they were all insightful point of view. So thank you for sharing. I think the next round of question is more understanding the specific work that you do with startups and corporates in each of the companies that you represent. So for you, Anders, how is Berkeley, Skydeck Europe working with startups and corporate? Which are the best practices that you share with startups in order to make them grow and to make sure that, as we said, the successful best practices are actually happening for the startups and not only for the corporates?
Yep, so what we do when startups come on board in our program and the startup acceleration process is really sit down and try to figure out together what they need to get out of this corporate collaboration. Because as I said, that's very important, because some startups have more need of getting more revenues to grow the sales. Other needs just still to develop the products, so need to get more products up. And then we go out. We have two ways to reach out to the corporates. And one is through the advisors that we assign to the startups and their networks, but we also have, in Skydeck Europe, we have both the Berkeley network, we have the Carpo Factory network, which is the European, Italian partner, and also then the real estate development company from Australia. So we're using those different ways to kind of figure out who will be the right companies, and then with those contacts we make sure, as we heard before, that these corporates are ready to engage. So we sit down with the corporates before we introduce them to startups, because sometimes we say we don't introduce startups to certain corporations, but we don't think the startups are ready, because that's another thing. The founder always think they're ready as a startup, of course, but we try to assess, because the risk, if you as a startup start to engage too early, you could burn yourself and then you can't get back in again. So we were trying to be the gatekeeper in terms of understanding what are the right level of engagement with the company and set expectations with the corporation, so we make sure that the thing we do with corporates will work and not be a boomerang. Then, of course, sometimes it ends in a positive result in a sales or proof of concept or things like that. And sometimes, of course, for normal reasons, things don't move ahead. But we're trying to facilitate the process and often participate with the startup, at least to listen in to some of these conversations, but also learning process how to do the sales and how to engage with the corporates. So, as I said, important to prepare the startups, important to prepare the corporates to succeed.
Great, thank you very much. And Michele Osella, what's the same question for you related to your company, Fondazione Compagnia di San Paolo? How do you make sure that the startups are actually working with corporates? How do you make it working?
Sure. If you agree, I can present a very brief story that is related to SMAU. So, this very brief story has to do with the SMAU experience, that is a brainchild of Compagnia di San Paolo, which teamed up with SMAU, that is hosting us today, to create a business development booster for the Persone program. Persone is the program of the CDP, National Accelerators Network, focused on the welfare economy. Backed by Compagnia di San Paolo, Persone taps into entrepreneurial talent to create proactively address new forms of social vulnerability, promoting an inclusive development model where no one is left behind. All this with an eye on the B2B space. So think about it. Basically, all corporations present three propositions: value propositions towards customers, profit propositions towards shareholders, and people proposition towards customers. Traditionally, the people proposition has often been overlooked. Today, in the era of the great resignation, the battle among forward-looking companies for talent attraction and talent retention is turning the people proposition into a powerful source of competitive advantage. With this in mind, we join forces with SMAO to craft a brand new instrument to facilitate meaningful interactions between the program startups and top-notch national and international corporates. So the resulting SMAO experience relies on some predefined matchmaking meetings and also allows serendipity to work spontaneously in places like this one where the magic happens. To give you a flavor and to conclude, this year the Persone startups participated in the midst of the program roller coaster in the SMAO Paris event held at Station F, and today, 4 months after Demo Day, they are here, stronger than before, at SMAO Milano to further accelerate their commercial journey. So this is very briefly one of our stories coming from our portfolio.
Yeah, our vision is that there should be more business for startups. So, of course, we help startups a lot. That means different things. It could be a little bit what you said before, that they have to sometimes teach them how to do sales meetings and have sales dialogues and conversation and build the relationship. A lot of startups are great at pitching, like at this event, and also for investment, but not trained in sales. So we provide a lot of that in order to create a long-term relationship with a potential customer that is much larger than you. You need to build a relationship and the trust. So we help them a lot with that. And of course, it's also important that they got the right introduction to the right person within the corporate that has the mandate, is a champion, has the budget, that actually has the business critical needs that the startup can solve. So we work a lot with the corporates also to activate them, to make them more mature of working with startup, and to actually do collaborations, because it's important also. We measure our work. We want it to be a good meeting. We arrange meetings between the startup and the corporates, and it should be a good potential customer meeting for the startup. It should not be like the corporate is in a tech safari. They should actually want to collaborate. So we make sure that the corporate can do that, and also help the startup with any legal advising, for example, because the corporate usually have a huge legal department and the startup doesn't. So legal template that is very startup friendly and very also good for the corporate, so they can collaborate, and also make sure that usually start with a POC together, the collaboration, and also teach both parties how to do a POC with the intention of actually having a long-term partnership. So in those dialogues, when you set up the first POC, you need to also be able to talk about the risk, how to collaborate on long term, and what is a successful POC, and how should we develop after that. So we help both parties in that dialogue from the start or even before the first meeting, and then help them to have a good relationship on a long term. And it's a lot of different things that is needed depending on the startup matureness and also the corporate.
So I already explained what we do. We provide a free platform to connect Italian startups to Japanese corporates. But how we do is, for example, as I said, we have many offices around the world. And according to our survey, there are around 60 Japanese companies' offices operating in Europe, specifically focused on open innovation, starting from UK, Germany, and Benelux and Nordics. And for example, like yesterday, I just had an inquiry from Japanese, one of the biggest manufacturing companies in the food sector. They are now located in Europe, but they are interested in an Italian startup ecosystem. They are traditionally manufacturing food, but now they are also interested in joint R&D with overseas startups. And we are like the first contact point for Japanese companies. And what they told me is like they are now also looking for unique startups and technologies in food or biotechnologies in Italy as well. So for my only 2 years experience in Milan, this kind of very specific interests or towards the Italian startups are honestly not so much as I received so far. But definitely we are gradually receiving more inquiries from Japanese companies about Italian startups and its ecosystem. So when I receive those kind of inquiries, we try to look for first our platform, and second all these kind of exhibition, and then if we could find any like potential startups, we could directly connect to Japanese companies, not only in Italy but also in Europe and in Japan. Yeah, so that's how we do it. Thank you.
Thanks. So, like, what we do, we try to invest in the best teams very early on. Very often, those have no idea who the customer is in the end and what kind of corporates to approach and how to approach them. But once we invest, and we don't make a decision based on who are the corporates that you could talk to, because very often company iterates, pivots, it changes direction. But once we start working together on the company with the teams in our program, we identify different ways and frameworks for those companies based on the problem they are solving. We bring corporates together to corporate days to present what the company is building. We ask corporates about their problem, what kind of issues do they have today, how do they see the corporation or their business model evolving over the next years. Is there a potential for them to work with startups? Does it make sense? As I said, very often these teams are extremely early, and Sarah mentioned it again. It's very important to start communication early on, understand, is this a potential solution for your corporation today, perhaps in a year, perhaps in 5 years, to get potential customer feedback, because the company is changing very, very often throughout the journey. But we try to build this bridge between the startups and corporates as potential clients to better understand which direction the startup could follow, basically. And very often companies come to us or corporates come to us and tell us we have a transformation direction. We want to work with startups. We don't know how. So we try to enable this connection between them. I'll give you an example. Before setting up Techstars in Turin, I was running Techstars in Berlin with Metro, a 30 billion euro per year revenue company. In retail, we're running 6 programs with them together on hospitality and retail. They came to us with a specific problem, setting a strategy for the next 10, 15 years and looking at startups that could help them innovating certain departments. So we had a very clear mission on what kind of technologies and startups to look for. It was very easy for us to go to those startups, offer them access to 500 restaurants from day one, basically, to test solution, to look throughout the supply chain, to work on the retail side, to work on the hospitality side. So it was the top-down approach out from the corporate. We want, but we don't know how, so help us. What we do in Turin is slightly different. We have 3 partners. It's a different type of partnership, so we try to enable an ecosystem. We help companies with access through Compagnia, through Intesa Sanpaolo, to many corporations who come join us as mentors to see what kind of technologies we have. We try to survey them before we invest. We don't make decisions based on this, but we still try to do throughout the year kind of understanding of where is the industry going, what problems do you see today, what is your strategy, what kind of problems will you have in the next 2-3 years, and what kind of companies would you be interested in talking to already today for POCs, potentially for clients as well. So we try to map it out, but honestly, it's pretty impossible. Right, so our mission is really to invest in the world's best founders, and if corporates can help them, can become clients, can help them with POCs or potential technology advancements, then we try to enable this bridge, but we don't start from that way to say we solve corporate problems with startups. Very challenging, honestly.
Awesome. In terms of some of the things that at the bakery we do to support these partnerships and ensure that they have the best chance of success. So there is a framework that I like to talk about that we use, which is essentially think big, start small. So when a partnership starts, we're thinking always like, what is the big vision? What is this, for the corporate, on the corporate side, what does testing this technology should enable us to do, in the future? So what will this partnership bring to our company? And on the startup side, like how is that serving also my venture and my goals? So we ensure there's an alignment of incentives there. So painting really the vision here is really key. And then it's kind of like working backwards from that and thinking in terms of roadmap. So where is it that, what are the sort of key steps in order to get to that big vision? And then thinking about where we need to start, it's starting with the smallest thing possible that you basically make the friction of starting really, really, well, not there, essentially, so as small as possible. So here, what we like to think about in terms of this pilot, as this first proof of concept, we renamed it entirely, and we think about it as like the smallest first step. So what is the smallest thing that you need to validate or prove in terms of hypothesis to ensure that you have enough information that you'll want to invest more time and resources into this project. So that's really how we get like the startups and the corporates to think about this first collaboration and increase the chances of success.
Great, thank you for all your valuable insights. I think that there was a lot of values for corporates and startups that we were discussing here. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of SMAO.